What if I told you that a creature as small as a fly could destroy the peace of a powerful king? Many of us believe we are in control of our lives, but in reality, we are servants to our own emotions. Today, you will discover why it wasn't the fly that ruined the king's life, but his reaction to it, and how you might be making the same mistake every single day. Wisdom begins with a quiet mind. Welcome back to Motivation Tales Daily. Relax and enjoy the story. In this pressure-filled world, we often get caught in stress and anxiety. We think that having power, wealth, or status makes us strong, but true strength does not come from power alone. It comes from the ability to control one's own emotions. Once upon a time, there was a king who was intelligent and ruled a vast land, but he had a major weakness. He lost his temper very quickly, even over the smallest matters. His anger was like a wild horse. Because he couldn't control it, it dragged him wherever it wanted. One day, the king's childhood teacher arrived at the palace. This was the man who, years ago, had taught the king lessons from books and, more importantly, lessons about life. The king, out of respect, invited his old mentor to a royal dinner. As they sat together, talking about old times, the atmosphere was peaceful. The king felt happy to see his teacher again, but in a moment, everything changed. A tiny fly, buzzing through the air, fell directly into the king's soup. Seeing the fly, the king didn't just become annoyed, he became furious. He shouted at his servant, his voice echoing through the hall. "What is this? A fly in my soup? How can you be so careless?" The servant trembled in fear, explaining that the soup was clear when served, but the king's anger would not calm down. His mood was completely ruined by a single tiny insect. The childhood teacher watched the scene quietly. When the king finally paused, the teacher spoke gently, "Your Majesty, please think for a moment. The servant did not bring the fly. It fell in later." The king replied irritably, "Teacher, you don't understand. Small things like this ruin my mood." The teacher smiled and delivered a truth that would change the king's life forever. "Your Majesty, the fly did not destroy your peace. Your reaction did." He looked the king in the eye and added, "One who cannot rule over his own emotions can never truly rule over anything else." The king fell silent. He realized that his anger was a choice, not a requirement. He whispered, "But I try, yet I still cannot control my anger." The teacher explained that controlling emotions requires practice, just like building physical strength. Patience is also a habit, he said. He encouraged the king to learn to pause before reacting. When the mind is calm, thoughts become clear, and clear thinking leads to better decisions. Science even tells us that decisions made in anger are much more likely to be wrong because our brain is working through emotion, not reasoning. The king realized that by letting the fly upset him, he had become the servant, and his emotion had become the master. This lesson is not just for a king, it is for all of us. We often react in haste under emotional influence, which leads to regret later. To take charge of your life, you must first identify your emotional triggers. Perhaps it is criticism at work, someone cutting you off in traffic, or a memory of past pain. When you feel these triggers, remember the king and the fly. Use mindfulness techniques like breathing exercises or focusing only on your breath for 5 minutes to let the muddy water of your mind settle until it becomes clear. Your thoughts are like seeds. If you plant seeds of anger, you will grow a life of tension. But if you choose to remain calm and patient, you can guide your own life rather than being driven by temporary emotions. Remember, true strength is not in anger, but in control. If you found value in this story, Please like, share, and comment. Your one comment inspires me to create better stories for you. Thank you, everyone, for giving so much love. Be patient, be thankful, and keep moving forward in life. We'll meet again in the next story.